I am just doing a little bit of a video today on base defense. I get a ton of questions on base defense. Um, so it's just easier for me to make a video and show you guys some tips and tricks on base defense in this, because pretty much every conquest I'm getting questions from people on different aspects. As you can see here, my base is 89 million. And I'm kind of trying to hold down the village here, and we got 210 million, 150 million, 200, 100. All these enemies that are trying to attack, and an 89 billion base is holding them back from stopping the village build. A lot of questions on what my setup is and how that works. So here you can see your base defense for your newer players or people who've been around the game for a while. Your units are going to be pretty much number one. My ATG anti-tank gun is the big thing. You can see I have 2 awakened officers on it. So the anti-tank gun, it's, if you're talking about actual tanks, right, not infantry. Infantry is becoming a big thing. But for tanks, you can see it just shreds straight through their armor, and then it allows your base to focus everything else. And that's going to be huge. My ATG has been kind of my bread and butter for pretty much my whole time I played. Now infantry is becoming a big thing, obviously terribly so, where, I am working really high. I have a rocket launcher. Really, that's about it. My howitzer is not really there yet. I am working on getting at least 1 or 2 howitzers to actually deal with infantry. Right now, they're a big problem. So your units are going to be pretty much number one with your base defense here. So here you see we have some troops developing. I believe they're going to be attacking. So troops is huge. Your officers are huge, okay? Counter storms. Believe it or not, I get a lot of questions on how do you get a base shield. There's a lot to this game. There's a lot of little details to read. Every officer is different in a lot of ways. Countess Thorns, okay, is the only way to. I didn't even download that. Is the only way to get a base shield. If you click on here,
the answer is no.
You can see that if your troop is in the base, it will actually is increased by 15%. Your shield is increased, and it can be used by your base. She's the only current officer, the only current way to get a base shield. Okay, now so I'll get surrounded here, but and I'll kind of show you how quick this base defense works. When you have Countess Thorns, any other base shield, any other shield for any unit, so if Countess Thorns in the unit, any other officer in that unit will be applied to your base. I don't want to miss this attack here. So right now I have Steel Fighter. When she's awakened, she has a 2,000 coefficient shield. That's also going to be added to my base shield because I have Countess Thorns. Let's see this attack here. So those two together, I have a pretty big base shield, okay? You're talking base defense. And again, this is something you need to pay attention to. The shield is based off of the unit's HP. I'm pretty sure is what consensus that I've gathered. It's the HP of the unit they're on, plus the amount of units are trained in the the camp, so 16 right now. But so it's the HP plus how many units are in the unit, and that's going to determine what the actual shield coefficient is going to be. So that's a big piece here is the base shield, okay? And that's just purely gonna essentially add HP to your base, because they're just tearing apart the shield for free, and it's just gonna keep triggering every 8 seconds. So let's see this attack. This is a player from another alliance we're at war with, and I asked him if he would try to burn me so I could during the video to show you guys some base defense things. To mind you, like I said, a lot of these players are 200 million. We are in Silver 2 Conquest. They're limited at 7-star. You see how that base shield is just eating up a lot of damage. So that's huge. Base shield is huge. I would really work towards the base shield. So, base shield. Another thing.
Let's see what's harder, your head
is
or my
if
fist?
you go to here, awakening her reduces the bottom one. When she's garrisoned, it reduces the damage your base receives from officer skills by 30%. Okay. Another huge one that I think a lot of people miss, Vox Veritas. Okay, this is huge. I've used this for pretty much almost the whole time that I've been on this game. First skill, you don't have to awaken her or anything. You see, it's the only thing I invested in. If you can see how much it gives you, but if you have this max, it gives you 30% base damage resist for 8 seconds. So as soon as that skill procs, you're gonna get a consistent 30% base damage resist, which is huge. Okay, that's something that I use and I consistently use in battle around the field. You can also use this unit because it gives a 35% damage resistant to any of the units within one map grid. So if you have a tank, or even infantry tanking a base, you can put this unit next to it with pretty much anything, and that's going to also give it that 35% damage resist for 4 seconds, which can be a really big thing, really big deal. Another thing that I like to use is actually Golden Eagle. This skill right here, it says it does base damage, resist. Right now I have it 7%, you go up to 10%. And you can see, trick here is I have 7% base damage resist with him. You can also see I'm training Sergeant Spanner. Let's get over here.
Who says us old guys should stay in the back?
So I'm using this skill twice. So right there, that's giving me 14% base damage resist, okay? So there's a couple things, your units, your officers, okay? Your actual base total HP. Okay. How do I get rid of that? That's huge too, okay? How much base HP do you actually have? Obviously you want to upgrade your wall completely. Then you want to start working on your fortified walls, okay? So I have a 20, 17, 215s. I'm working on those. Are going to be way higher soon. that's just where I'm at. Okay, another huge. So there's a couple more big things. A couple more things real quick to look at. First of all, go into your camps, and this is something that, quite honestly, I missed for a long time. Um, it would be this guy right here, and I want you to read this carefully. Okay, 18% damage, 18 damage resist, 18% for your troops, and okay, for your troops and base. Okay, that is huge. So, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't normally run it at, what is this, the 6 plus, but if you look up to here, the 4 plus, you're at 15%. So you're only using 3%, and you only need 5 units deployed. You pick the camp, they're all the same. I would recommend to do 5. If you go up here and you look at the 4, you're losing 7% base damage resist, damage, um, and so I try to keep it at about the 5 mark. That's huge. A lot of people miss that big buff. I see a lot of people so spread thin that, a lot of times you're hitting this, where you have 3 from each camp, and you're getting a 4% buff, which is just terrible. A lot of people I catch that are missing that and not prepared in that fashion. Okay. Let's look at a couple more things real quick here. Military. Damage resist. Okay, this is huge. Um, base damage resist. 13. Remember, your walls will give you base damage resist. So, base damage resist versus bombers. So, base damage resist 13 plus 42%. Okay. Plus
I'd rather be
is
taking photos of
30%.
nature than war.
Plus,
I could
like I
load a
said,
rocket launcher in my
7%
sleep.
plus another 7 for spanner. So you're looking very quickly at 100% base damage resist very quickly. Last thing, research. This is maxed. It's just going to give you a ton of base durability. It's going to give you a ton of honestly garrison damage. Base HP, if you get into this, it's going to give you more base HP. So your 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 research is huge, but obviously there's lots of ways you can go. If you want to go into your artillery and max this, that's obviously going to give you your base a ton of ability, because your artillery is going to be way stronger in your base. So those are just a couple of tips and tricks that I have for you guys. Build the units so that they're good. And this isn't the best unit configuration. I'm still working on it. But I recommend the ATG, because you're going to probably see some tanks. Other than that, you're going to need at least, I recommend at least 1 howitzer. I'm going to try to get 2. You got to get that infantry damage, and that's honestly good against tanks too. I recommend having a base shield. Get your Count of Thorns, and then you don't even need to awaken your second officer on that, because
You
that
want your
base
lights
shield
punched
will
out
come in
too?
effect right away, with Count of Thorns as your other person. So those are really some of my biggest hints for that. So have a good day, everybody, and hope you can learn something. So.